Welcome. Thank you for tuning up to Knives. So right now we're here in we're in Southern California near Disneyland at the Plaza Cutlery Custom Knife Show. Plaza Cutlery is a shop in the Costa Mesa Mall in Orange County, in the city of Costa Mesa. It's one of the, I guess, the premier knife stores on the West Coast here, and I mean, I shopped from them and stuff, and picked up. That's where I got my Vim crew, and here's the table and stuff. And let me show you guys the hallway. There's Mel. Looking at posters. And let's see over here. Of course, Mr. Dwyer's over there talking about steels. I got to ask him some more questions. Here's the show. Mr. Reeves over there. Don't try to go over there. I'm gonna stay from that direction. And then you can see here. This is actually a really good turnout. This is actually really hustling, bustling, I was saying. Okay. So this is Dan and Yuko from Plaza Cutlery. They're supposed to, hi, you guys. So they're the ones that hosted this entire show and put it all together. You guys want to say anything?
Well, hopefully next year there'll be more people that come.
I would say it's a really good turnout. This is more than the USN show, it seems like. I feel like it.
Had a good turnout too.
Good turnout, yeah. You want me to show some of the stuff you guys?
Sure.
They have Chris Reeve knives, little Strider Customs. You can see here.
It's a good show.
There's Dwyer right here. You can see they have a lot of interesting things, like you can see over here, like you get some stuff made. They have Spider Co's. Yeah. Is there anything else you guys want to say? No? Come next year, yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, so this is a gentleman from Niagara. If you remember the last video Mr. Dwyer was talking about, he can explain a little more?
Yeah, okay. Hi, I'm Frank Cox with Niagara Specialty Metals. I worked for Crucible for 20 years before I went to Niagara. Just to explain real quickly, Crucible went through a Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2009, and at that point, Niagara was the rolling mill that did all the sheet for Crucible. All the sheet and plate is made at Niagara because Crucible cannot roll sheet. When the bankruptcy happened, Crucible, the mill, was bought by a private investment firm out of Cleveland called JP Industries. They renamed the mill Crucible Industries, and then Crucible licensed Niagara Specialty Metals to roll all the sheet and plate for knife grades, the 154 cm, the S3.
Was you say something about Nitinol?
Nitinol is another project that actually Mr. Dwyer with Strider Knives worked on with Crucible's research lab. So to be honest with you, he bypassed the mill and everybody and went right to the research lab, worked with them on nitinol. So to be honest with you, I know nothing about nitinol. It was high-level stuff between Dwayne and the research lab, but they are still working together on that project. And just so everybody knows, the Crucible mill is doing fine.
Okay.
It's melting steel. Niagara's doing great, rolling all the knife steels, and all of them are available. And we have several distributors as well.
Okay.
So that's the story. Niagara's a employee-owned company that started in 1982.
Okay.
And we're up in upstate New York, and we do all tool steels from 01 up to the S90V, S110V.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Cool, okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Jason Brous of Brous Blades. You might recognize this knife right here from Tough Thumb's channel, and you can explain some things. Sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, this is our new Silent Soldier. The difference is it has a curved blade, and we made the holes a little bit bigger.
Some more cutting edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have the engraving on top.
Okay.
Which kind of creates a little bit more grip up here.
Yeah.
You have your standard way of holding it, which is your front finger through there. You have your reverse grip, hold it that way.
Yeah.
You have your punch grip.
Oh shit.
And then you have your concealed grip, to where it looks like you're holding a ring. But you don't want to use anything with that blade back there. So yeah, this is a bead blast finish. We bead blasted this one and then tempered it, and it basically turned a cool black color. And then we also have the satin
That's the one that, yeah.
This is probably the most popular.
Is it really? You would think that the curved blade now with that extra curve in it that it would...
That one, actually, I just finished making them last night.
Oh.
So they're not online or...
They're brand new, brand new.
Yeah.
I'll pick one up then. Let me get the black. Well, can I get both?
Yeah.
Okay, you should get both. The anyone else want to show the?
Well, this here is our triple threat. This is a new production knife that we're doing. A2 tool steel.
Oh, look at the scale work.
These are blue aluminum, blue anodized.
Who did those then? You?
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, these are all
Holy
CNC.
crap. You see this tough? Alright.
This is called the triple threat because the 3 grinds used for all 3 different purposes. You could use this grind for, push cutting, and you could use this as like your standard cutting edge where you would use to cut, the majority of things. And this tip could be more for fine cutting. And it has a.
Is it all one consistent angle?
The grind is one consistent angle all the way across, so make it easier for people to sharpen.
Yeah.
And that's this little spear point tip on here for stabbing. Serrations on the top.
Cool.
Engraving. They're all serialized, U.S. made.
Yeah, that's cool. Look at the. That one's interesting.
This is a custom here.
So this is not available on.
No, it's not on the website yet, but they made it just for the show. This is red and black G10.
Okay.
ATS 34 steel.
You have to move slower because my camera sucks.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get a good look of it so people can
Tumbled finish.
Let me go this way here.
Hand rubbed on the top.
That's nice.
Should probably get this one in there too.
Oh yeah.
This is my baby. Red G10. Sandblast and satin finish, 2-tone.
Well, now what your intention when you make that exactly? I mean, I can kind of guess.
Generally, it was just for looks. It's something that looks pretty cool. It's also functional, but I spend so much time and effort on this, I'd probably cry if I saw someone trying to cut something with that. So.
Oh, tell me that. I know.
Yeah,
I can see because
Yeah, it's all done by hand on a manual mill, both sides. It's done in 3 operations.
Man. Anything else here? I mean, look at that one. Same thing, the handle on that.
Yeah, it's that one is 154 cm. G10 handles. Everything all done on the manual mill.
All right, man.
These are silver, real silver. About 100 thou thick, about 2 ounces of real silver. And those are going to go in a Chad Damascus blade, but we just don't have the steel yet.
Wow.
So you can see how heavy they are.
Yeah. All right, man. Okay. Look at this cool little setup and everything. So, this is Jason Brous, and okay. And there's Josh, and he's working. Yeah. There's a little custom so Mick Strider's girlfriend helped make some of this, right?
I guess.
Yeah, she had a part in this.
I just got a weird
she did the Damascus, or there's something like the grinding, and there's an interesting little one right here too. And, yeah, TVs right here. Yeah.
Good, because Steve.
This is Mr. Dwyer's first S110V they made.
I think you can see on here too, it says XM01 on it. No, wait, that says my name. Hold on. Yeah, S110V XM01 if you can.
What's the XM01 stand for?
Experimental 01. So that's like serial number 1.
Oh. Cool. Is this so your user? You use it?
Yeah, I have several of them. My real users are 3V.
3V? You're a big fan of 3V?
Yeah, that material, to me, if you create an aggregate, hardness, toughness, wear resistance, and leave corrosion resistance as an end user responsibility rather than a facet of metallurgy, then clearly there's no other material that you can score aggregately as high as 3V. There's one material that's being released now by another manufacturer, by Carpenter, under another name, PE1.
I tried to have a custom knife made by another knife maker in 3V, and he had a hard time getting the detent to not cut into the blade. And he hit it. He got the Rockwell to 60. Maybe, huh?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, if it's already hardened, it's a tough material to work with. You know, there's tougher. You know, working with, you mentioned S90V. You know, you try and machine that stuff after it's hard. It's difficult. There's a thing called a Model factor, and a Model factor is a material's ability to push back. And it's not really pushing back, but that's what it's defined as. Very high Model factor in those.
Well, because he was saying it was scoring or cutting into the 3V after he had hardened it or something like that.
That sounds like an improper heat treat, because the fact is the ball is one hardness, the material is one hardness. If the material is 60 Rockwell, if it was 3V, it should have been at least 60 Rockwell. Nobody heats 3V down to 59. There's no reason.
So
at
that's
62,
weird.
At 62 Rockwell, 3V is stronger on a Charpy impact test than S30V is at any hardness that you can make it. So you can harden it up to 64 and still get equal hard toughness out of 3V.
That's why 3V. I gotta get some 3V.
Yeah,
I saw your 3V Tontos. I wanted to get one. I was like,
I got a bunch of them coming right now. I've got a sheet of material being cut into folder blades right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You just talk to Josh. I'm doing SNGs and SMFs. I swear about this stuff. I think that there's
3Vs are personal.
As an aggregate, if I could only have one knife, and I had to only carry one and leave all my stuff behind.
Oh, this is good stuff. 3V.
That's what it would be.
I'm with the Vin crew right now because I figure it's a small blade. I'm not going to need the impact.
For that size knife blade, now if you want to talk cutting performance,
that's why
it'll outcut it, because you can. The next ones of these that I do, which is why we're having a meeting right now.
Okay.
We're getting a whole lot of that. I'm going to do the first ever company run, not just customs, out of Crew 20. And my intentions are to run the hardness on these to 64. We're gonna release the folder at 64 Rockwell because
Vim Crew and a production run. Holy crap!
Yeah.
Really?
Because that material.
Oh man.
That material functions well at high hardness.
When did this develop? Just right now?
No, about 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago? Oh.
Yeah. We discussed it, and then the emails went back and forth. The problem with Vim Crew is it's only been manufactured in the past in round.
Yeah.
It's just under 5 inches, and the problem with that is, for knife makers, we work out a sheet, okay?
Yeah.
So for me, it wasn't a big deal because I took the round.
Yeah, I got that. I know you were saying the whole.
Laid it on its side, surfaced it, cut 2
Oh man!
But now what we're getting them to do at the middle is actually convert that round to sheet. So this will be the first time.
So there will be a little bit easier to sharpen.
It'll be the same. You won't notice a difference. The material's a PM grade.
So it's still gonna be like my experience with it.
It'll be
diamond rods. It is.
It'll be worse. It'll be harder to sharpen.
Crap!
Because we're gonna increase the hardness.
Oh man!
Listen, actually, that's a bad. I made a mistake there.
Okay.
It won't be harder to sharpen. It'll take longer.
Yeah.
The activity's not more difficult.
Yeah.
It's just more time consuming.
I got better than last time.
The advantage is it should be less time. There should be a lot more time between the need.
Yeah, it's the same thing I tell people. Like if it's soft, you sharpen quick. It's the same thing in the end. Yeah, it's actually logically speaking.
Keeping a sharp knife sharp is end user responsibility. That is the aspect of using an edged tool that's the most important. What is it that cuts on a weed eater? What is it that's actually cutting? What is it?
I don't even know.
It's the plastic little piece of string, right?
You know better than me.
It's the piece of string, right?
She's from Kentucky or something.
If the string's all gone, the weed eater doesn't cut it. That's end user responsibility. The end user responsibility for edge tools, whether it's a shear, whatever, is the condition of the edge. That's the end user responsibility. It's easy to keep that. It's not very time consuming to keep that sharp. So what's time consuming is guys let it get real dull and all beat up.
Don't give me that look.
And my advice when you do that, send it to us.
Well, I got it sharp again. This time it's slicing paper, so
and that's fun.
The paper slice and stuff.
Sharpening knives to me is kind of a fun thing. It makes me feel good to do that. So I enjoy it.
How come you never mess with convex? Everyone's always like big on convex, and you guys.
Convex. The reason for convex grinding is if you study forged axes, is to separate the material as the blades go through, to push the material apart. Well, it's not good for cutting function. You know, if you're cutting stuff by hand, if you're impact cutting, then convex grinding serves a purpose. If not, it slows the cut down. It's actually creating a dysfunctional cut. You're trying to push the blade through. You shouldn't have to do that. You know, flat grinding serves a good purpose. Hollow grinding looks sexy and serves a good purpose. Convex grinding is for impact cutting. It's not for regular cutting functions. You know, that's why all axe heads, you know, if you look at all the guys that are machining tomahawks and all that, they're flat surfaces. If you look at the guys that forge them, they're convex. Okay.
Because people in the knife community seem to think that the convex is like the ultimate superior edge, and I'm like, but there's like always a trade-off. There's always a trade-off, and you're not.
No, for knives, it's not, unless it's a knife that's big enough that you want to actually chop with. But even then, for example, I mean, there's a reason nobody makes machetes out of 1/4-inch thick stock. You know, you wouldn't even want to carry the thing. It would be huge, right? But machetes, you're chopping with constantly, and there's no convex grind there. Another one you can ask about. Without question, in my opinion, the most elegant weapon ever made, of all, whether you're talking atomic devices, firearms, edge tools, is the Japanese sword. To me, more went into that than any other, than I've studied on any other weapon ever made, all of time. There's no, you know, there's no limit to what they did. They tested. There's convex ground Japanese swords, flat ground Japanese swords, concave ground Japanese swords, one-sided ground Japanese swords. You know, historically, they did 600 years of study on metallurgy and geometry. Two of the 3 scientific factors, I believe.
Which everyone's quoting you now. Everyone's quoting the material, the heat treat, and the edge geometry. The rest
of it's personal preference. You know? So those are the things that I can prove to you with math. And you know, my feelings are your feelings. Everybody looks at her and says she's pretty. Okay, and that's good. But some people say, you know, that blue is prettier than gray. Why? That's not science. Okay. And science is proving that that's blue. And that we can do. That's a wavelength issue. Again, math. So proving though that one material is better than another comes down to math. And I approach all of it that way. As a company, when we determine how we want to make a product, we decide, okay, what facet of this product is going to be exposed greatest? Is it toughness, wear resistance, hardness, corrosion resistance? We decide. And then we apply the raw material that we feel will equip the greatest margin of success to the tool. Secondly, we say, now, how do we give that material the greatest margin of success in the environment it's going to be utilized, speaking about its heat treat. And we apply the heat, because you can change things dramatically. I can pick some high-tech material, heat treat it horribly, and you may as well
like that what happened at 3V then.
Exactly.
I mean, people, like, I think you gotta realize, like, I mean, you know, like, for example, like you said, the grinds, it depends on the blade's design purpose too. I mean, like, if it's more of, I guess, a slicing tactical-ish folder, you know, like I said, like your recurve on a small blade makes sense. You know, you're getting more cutting length, you get more ability to angle your cuts. It's a functional thing compared to, like, you know what I mean? So I think people just, I don't know, it's just all out there. It's all mixed up out there.
You know, a lot of it's marketing. You know, the guys that, I heard, who was this that I just heard talking about this? Talking about, there's a whole bunch of different types of marketing, right? In reality, and I'm trying to remember who made this quote, but in reality, there's only 2. There's mediocre or less products that sell because of advertising and marketing, and they sell with usually a minimum markup and make the money by volume. Beverage distributors, people like that, you know, Pepsi, they have these huge advertising campaigns, right? And that's they do business that way. And then there's people who make something that's truly unique and difficult, hard to make, expensive.
I know this.
Usually, with not much of a markup, and you end up with a prayer that you can find a customer willing to pay the money.
That's me.
At the end of the day, if we end up, say, you know, Strider Knives is now 18 years old. The company's about we're a $2 million a year company in gross sales. growing every year still. We don't have slide back years because of that guy. And you know, he's amazing. He does his job better than I do mine. So I look at what the company does, and we're continuing to push technology. We're not trying to push advertising. You know, I don't know if we do advertise. I don't think we advertise.
I don't think so. Yeah.
I don't think we have any advertising.
Just speaks for itself, this kind of thing.
I think we do support Blade Magazine. We got a couple ads, but our advertising is by putting knives in people's hands and letting people understand that there is a difference between truly high-end scientific materials and geometry versus mediocre materials and geometry. So if you approach things that way, that's also the same paradigm that companies like Mercedes, you know, they're known as making a fine automobile, and it costs a lot of money. Is it worth it? Well, that's up to the customer. You know, I believe it is.
I feel like the knives, like I look at all the functions and the features, and I like, you know, there are other knives that this new burst of like little tough knives. Like tough knives are like more compact. Like you know, Hess and DPX and those other brands, but they don't actually compete with. In the end, the function that is there, the thought and the design I've noticed on the Striders is always there. I mean, she has her Strider. I mean, if I trust her life to it. That's the handle for the Vim Crew. You know, the bedazzled.
I love that.
Yeah, but
I wish that we could do a couple more things. You know, there's a few things I would like to see our company be able to do, and growth is what brings us to those things. I'd like to see us continue to expand and be able to make some thinner gentleman folders. I'd like to see us expand and do some other tools that include some parts that may be forgings. There's a lot of aspects of business that I'd like to see us do, and you know, we'll see what the next year brings. We've got exciting plans for 2012. We've already got new products to add.
With that Tuzula Strider, that collaboration.
Yeah, that's going great. Bob's, you know.
I like Bob. Yeah, I froze up in front of him.
Yeah, great guy, great knife maker, smart guy. He understands the tool very well. And in order to make something, you don't have to be like, you remember a guy. I heard this analogy once. You remember the sprinter, Carl Lewis? He was a great sprinter, and I like the guy. Olympic, just magnificent Olympic athlete. His coach couldn't outrun it, but he understood running. So he could teach it, he could develop it, he could work with it, and that's why Carl Lewis became as good as he was. There was his natural attributes as well, of course, but he would have never gotten there if it weren't for his coach. Well, I got a whole bunch of coaches. I got a whole lot of people that I go out, I seek some of them seek us, but if you're not doing that, I don't know how you say that you're growing. Because if you're not using other...
You guys gotta be humble. You always open mind.
You can't do it all. You know, and some of these guys say they do, and okay, good luck to them. I hope that works for them. Subject matter expertise is exactly that. And there are people smarter than me, lots of them.
There's always someone, there's always
probably people smarter than me that wear my shirts. I mean, there's one. But I mean, there's lots of people that understand something really well. And for me to try and understand it as good as that person isn't always necessary. I just need to understand that that person's a subject matter expert. Go and try and learn why, and then see if that applies to what it is that we're doing.
It's always applying what you know. I think in the end, like I always tell, like perhaps my skill is to learn something from one aspect and then think outside the box, go off on a tangent and apply it. That's a hard thing for people to do. Believe it or not, it's mentally that's the challenge for some people.
And a lot of companies too don't approach it this way. A lot of companies do want to make, you know, a $50 knife, so they work with mediocre raw materials, and for them, everything is about cost of production. You know, we don't worry about cost of production. We do in a sense that if I can make something two ways,
Jared West, if you're on the road, you can come up front, please.
And both of them make the product exactly the same in the end, and one's cheaper than the other, well then okay? But for example, laser cutting, it's a bad idea.
Oh, you said this before.
It's a bad idea.
And that's why, like I was saying on the Spydercos, the initial edge is
and then all
damage
the
from that
stuff. They'll claim to you, and people will say to you that, hey, we re-anneal, therefore the product is equally as good as it would have been if we water jet. That's not true. Metallurgically, it can be proven that the microstructure has been changed forever where it was heat affected by the laser. Period.
One last question for one of the people who asked. You know, my experience with D2 and the spec sheets, it's not matching. Like, I feel like D2, like, you would think off the spec sheets that D2 is somehow much easier to work, like to sharpen, to use, you know, it's much below S30. That doesn't seem true at all.
Yeah, this is like a really common question.
Yeah.
And it's a good question. D2, Bob Terzwola started off making knives out of D2.
Okay.
It doesn't do anything great, but it does everything good. And D2 is a material that's not a true stainless, yet it's very good.
Good enough, yeah, it's good enough for me.
Its toughness is nowhere near that of some of these high-grade tool steels, but it's good toughness. It's hardenability, no problem at all, getting it to 61. So it does everything that a good edge tool needs to do.
But you still work with D2,
but it's not
I see.
an A+ in any of them.
But then what about, in your opinion, compared to S30? You know, why do you do D2 sometimes?
Kind of apples and oranges there. Number one, the wear resistance is not as good on D2 as it is on S30. Okay? Wear resistance is directly relative in edge tool making to edge retention. Okay? So it's not as good, clearly. I mean, that's just a fact. It does do some things, I think, better.
Like?
But, well, you gotta kind of validate all these things, because it depends on how you heat treat both of them, what you're going to get out of either. And with D2, if you take a piece of D2 and you want to make it, you know, something deal with impact well, you can heat treat D2 so that it deals with impact very well. S30, the nature of the material when it was originally developed was to create a good aggregate material that was a true stainless. It's not, as I mentioned to you before, a notched Charpy test at about 15 foot-pounds, you know, it's where you're going to get destruction. So S30 wasn't developed with impact, with toughness as its primary characteristic. So there are other materials that you would recommend someone to use over S30 if that's what your primary concern was. D2, again, still no comparison to 3V. But it does deal with impact better than S30.
So it's kind of okay. So that's where it really lays in the end the kind of reasoning behind because I mean I know you read about, but
now I mentioned this too though, because D2 isn't that great at toughness either. So when I say better, if I were to tell you how many foot-pounds,
isn't it just like
plus
one
or minus it is? Yeah, it's very close. So the difference, you as a knife user, you're not gonna see that difference. So to me, the difference is this: D2 is a conventionally milled steep material, so you got all sorts of other issues working against you. You know, you've got an actual linear grain structure. It's not a PM grade. So all the advantages of having a PM grade of material come with S30, not with D2.
CPM
D2, different material. So now you've avoided the disadvantages of D2 because it was conventionally milled. Okay. Now that's a good material. There's another manufacturer now that's Carpenter that is manufacturing a material now called CTS XHP. Okay. We've got material. We're releasing S&Gs out of CTS XHP, a true stainless PM grade D2. And interesting, great material. It's going to be fun to see how it does in the industry. It could very well replace the use of, from a lot of knife makers, a lot of people may decide that they want to go to that versus an S30. It very well could, personal preference in different knife makers and how you heat treat your materials, a lot of guys I feel will switch. I don't know why they didn't call it, you know, I wish they could have kept the D2 name in there somehow, because D2 has people, a lot of people by the heart. You know, a lot of people love D2. It's been a successful material. We're excited about continuing to work with 3V. We're excited to work with and welcome PD1. We're excited to work with Vimcrew 20 as the first company to ever offer production knives out of Vimcrew 20.
Oh, someone had asked me about that. They said, because you guys, he was actually a fan of your stuff. Now, this is the question. He said, between PD1 and D2, which one do I think is better? What's the answer for that?
You know, to me, PD1 is 3V, and it's, again, as I say, if you were to create an aggregate and score knife steels, toughness, hardness, wear resistance, there's no comparable material to 3V 3V except PD1, which I explained to you before. I think the history of what 3V is and how PD1 fits into that. PD1, from all the math, should actually test to be a better material than 3V. Will that actually be noticeable as a knife user? Probably not. But it'll be a comparable material to 3V with a finer mesh and a slightly higher alloy content. So it should be a really good